default is about 10 minutes. So your page actually only hits the database every 10 minutes for a refresh. So your content is only going to be 10 minutes old. What it does is it actually creates an HTML version of your page. It doesn't hit the database for drawing that content within that 10-minute range, and that's what offsets the load from your database. Okay? If you are developing custom code and you're experiencing slowdowns, there may be other issues that caching can help. So that's just kind of a word of caution. But caching, if you're just using sort of standard WordPress, a theme, and you're starting to build some users, it's a good idea to put in place early rather than before you have a problem. You want to put caching in place to make your site as scalable as possible. And those things are pretty, like I said, they're pretty easy to set up, either W3 Total Cache, WP Super Cache. Just show of hands, anybody using these plugins already?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, good. Which one is preferred?
Everything Total Cache.
W3
Total
Total
Cache,
Cache, I
yeah.
think so as well. W3 Super Cache is a little bit dated. W3 Total Cache is newer, and it's got some nice features in it. The one feature that people tend to like is if you actually want to use a CDN, like Amazon for file storage, it's just a setting inside of W3 Total Cache. You can offset all your images too.
Very easy.
So that's the other sort of Achilles heel of the website. If you're loading, you've got database, but if you're also loading in a bunch of content, so you're loading in a whole bunch of images per page, then you start to tax your server. You can offset that by pushing your images off to a CDN, content delivery network. Amazon's a pretty popular one just for small websites, small and mid-range websites, and W3 Total Cache has that built in. So other advantages of W3 Total Cache I might have missed.
Memcache.
Memcache, yeah. Memcache a little bit more technical, probably better for developer data. That's okay. Memcache is essentially a way on your server to cache your database queries. So we talked about caching your whole web page and making an HTML version of your entire page. But those large queries that might tax your database can actually be cached even longer. One of the
Into the RAM.
What's that?
Into RAM.
Into RAM.
Yeah.
So I'll show you where we use it, where we use Memcache. We actually wrote this. We wrote this ourselves, but W3 Total Cache can kind of do this as well. Are we even showing it anymore? We used to have a box on the very side here. This is a blog that has hundreds or thousands of authors, and we used to have a box on the side that was a pull-down menu where you could view all the posts by author. And that pull-down menu would show you all 1,000 authors or whatever we had at the time. When we first launched that menu, we were actually hitting the database to go get all those authors. Exactly. So we put Memcache in place so that query actually only loaded about once every 5 days, rather than once every time the page loads. So that's what Memcache does for you. And W3 Total Cache will offset some of that for you too. A little bit more advanced. You do need some server setup to get Memcache in place, but those are some more advanced caching techniques.
And Steve, it was mentioned here before, I think Brandon mentioned it, don't turn that on if you're developing or designing until you're done, because it drives you caching.
Absolutely. So that's a great point. So if you turn on caching, keep in mind you're going to be seeing content that is X minutes old, whatever your caching plugin is set to. You can't actually bypass that. So if you're logged into your site, it will bypass the cache and show you the current content for logged in users. And you can set the privilege level that sees cache content. Is that true of W3 Total Cache? Yes.
Yeah, anybody that's logged in is an admin.
But if you don't know that and you didn't turn that on, that can be problematic. And what that means is it can drive you nuts if you're writing content and saying, my site's not updating. How many times does Dreampost get calls?
The worst is when
the
worst is when you're editing CSS or JavaScript or something and that's being cached as well. And you're like, this isn't dynamic. What the heck's going on here? And
yeah, you can experience it from a blogger level. You can experience it from a developer level. It's just something to be aware of. So thank you. I appreciate that. Anything else on caching? You asked that question earlier about scalability, right? Does that help?
Yeah. I just heard some rumor that WordPress gets clunky after X amount of just items, and not that we have a ton of traffic. It's just the amount of items on say a shop plugin.
It's true of WordPress, but it's also true of anything that's PHP and MySQL reliant. So if it relies on database call draw page, you can experience that on any content management system. something movable type used to have over WordPress. I'm sorry I mentioned the M word things. You don't ever want to change those permalinks. Or if you do, you want to be very careful about it, okay? Because those permalinks are how Google has your site indexed. So that's what you want to be very careful about when you change permalink structures or move content. And those are set per user. So if I happen to be the guy that deals with comments more, I might put comments up here because I want it above the fold. If I deal with excerpts, I might put that here. So these are completely settable on a user-by-user basis within your site. Pretty cool little hidden stuff that you may not know inside WordPress. One of the other things we show quite a bit, which I might as well mention since we're talking about gems, right? That was the topic at the WordCamp. Is bookmarklets. We've talked about this in the past at OC WordPress, but this is a really handy thing. There's a feature inside of WordPress called Press This. So if I'm on a site, let me see if I don't know if I have Press This working for Zeek or not. But let's go to a news site. Now let me since we're using Yakbox as our test site, I'll show you how to set up a bookmarklet. Whoever gave me the tip on exiting full screen, thank you. Inside of the Tools tab, there's a little tab there called Press This. If you want to use the bookmarklet for any website, what I do is again, this is Yakbox. You actually take this little Press This thing, you drag it to your bookmark bar. I'm just going to put it right here for now. And now I've got a little tab up there called Press This. So if I go to a website, let's go to CNN, and I want to blog about. Don't want to blog about that.
Has a hashtag here.
Yeah. So I want to blog about this. I just want to grab these first 3 paragraphs in this article. Whatever I've selected, if I go use Press This bookmarklet, watch this. I click this. It grabs whatever I had highlighted, and this is going to post to my blog. So this is a really handy little hidden feature inside of WordPress. Ooh, wow.
Do you have to go back and hit publish, or you just publish?
Well, watch. No, I'm here. I've got. This is like a little mini post feature. So I've got whatever I grabbed. It actually puts in where it came from. I don't know if you can see it. It says via College Humor joins first wave of Nintendo 3DS. I give it a couple categories. I hit publish, and then we'll go back to my Yakbox login, and there's the post I just made. So you can do this and once you've got that bookmarklet in place, if you're logged in, you can do it from anywhere you're at.
iOS, iPad.
I believe it works just fine. It's just a pop-up window. I haven't tried it, but I can't imagine it wouldn't work. Does anybody know on an iOS device?
Does it default to draft?
Try it and let us know. What's that?
Does it default to draft?
It defaults to whatever you set it as. So
a business card. Still justifying it to yourself. Justifying it to my tax man. They haven't called me on it yet.
So anyway, I mentioned the Facebook group. If anybody else wants to get up here and speak and present something, you're welcome to speak on anything. You can see we had a couple different topics tonight. We talked about a little bit of everything. As long as it's WordPress related, we want to talk about something that you've done or something you've discovered. Or, doesn't matter if it's basic all the way to advanced. We welcome any speakers. So just email me and I'll put you on the schedule and we'll go from there. And Developer Day in 2 weeks, and then we'll have this again, general meetup in 4 weeks. And last mention, we drink during and after the meeting. So if anybody wants to meet afterwards, we go to the House of Brews in Huntington Harbor. And if you want directions, just let me know. It's right down the street. See you next month.